Lord of Mysteries 2, Circle-of-Inevitability. Chapter 35, Differences. It's about as strong as the last time, Lumion muttered to himself as he looked at the corpse of the skinless monster. Before the time reversal, he had been evenly matched with the monster, relying on his intelligence to defeat it. Now, as a Beyonder, he only needed one swing of his axe to finish it off. Of course, he had the advantage of already experiencing the same sequence of events, and knowing the monster's attack strategy. This allowed him to anticipate its moves. The contrast between before and after made Lumion feel that he had undergone a significant improvement after becoming a Beyonder. After pondering for a moment, he moved the monster's corpse and head to a corner but did not hide it under rocks, wood, and mud, leaving it exposed along with the blood on the ground. Lumion then quickly searched the half-collapsed building and found the remaining 197 Voldor and 25 Caput, categorizing them into different pockets. He flipped through the lever blue again but found nothing out of the ordinary. Once he had completed his search, he snuck deeper into the ruins. However, after only 20 to 30 meters, he changed course and returned to his starting point. Following the path the skinless monster had taken while alive, he nimbly climbed onto the half-collapsed roof. After making the necessary preparations, he hid himself. Minute by minute, Lumion waited patiently like an experienced hunter. After an unknown period of time, a figure emerged from the ruins. It was the same monster that had previously given Lumion a hunter-beyonder characteristic, with its half-human, half-beast appearance, bent knees, greasy black hair, and shotgun on its back. The shotgun monster approached cautiously, as if on a daily patrol. Suddenly it sniffed the air and detected the blood in the distance. It quickly changed direction and headed towards the half-collapsed, burnt building. Following the trail of blood, the monster found the skinless monster's corpse and head. It squatted down to examine it carefully. On the half-collapsed roof, Lumion shook his head and muttered to himself, "You can't even smell me from such a distance. Even with the smell of blood, you shouldn't have missed me." As he muttered, he raised his axe and struck hard at the crevice in the stone beside him that he had prepared earlier. Crash! The half-collapsed roof shook, and heavy rocks crashed down. The shotgun monster reacted quickly, twisting its waist, kicking its feet, and lunging towards an uncollapsed area. Lumion smiled and swooped down from the intact roof like an eagle grabbing its prey in midair. In the midst of the howling wind, Lumion and the shotgun monster clashed in the air. Lumion raised his axe with one hand while the monster desperately tried to turn around and block. Lumion clenched his left hand into a fist and punched down. As the monster extended its arm to block, Lumion opened his palm and reduced his strength, grabbing the monster's arm. As Lumion pulled back with his left hand, he suddenly cleaved down with his axe in his right hand. The blade struck the monster, and they both fell to the ground in a pool of blood. Lumion, who had a buffer pad, was not affected by the impact. He raised his hand and cleaved the monster's head from its body with his axe once again. Despite its unwillingness, the head rolled twice and separated from the body. Standing up, Lumion looked at the monster and sneered. "You've weakened! All you have is a terrifying shell, nothing more than a stuffed scarecrow inside." As a hunter, he was confident in dealing with the shotgun monster again, but he hadn't expected it to be so easy. Looking at the corpse on the ground, Lumion patiently waited for the Beyonder characteristic to appear. However, after waiting for a long time, he saw no sign of the dark red light. Nothing? Lumion muttered to himself in puzzlement. He wasn't surprised, though. Last time, he had obtained the shotgun monster's Beyonder characteristic and turned it into a potion that he had already consumed. Since the time reversal didn't turn me back into an ordinary person, and the Beyonder characteristic in my body hasn't disappeared, it means that there's one less hunter Beyonder characteristic here. The shotgun monster is only back in its living state, but it essentially lacks what's important. The question now is, why am I still the same before the time reversal? He couldn't come up with an answer, so he decided to loot the copper coins from the shotgun monster and leave the ruins. The next morning, Lumion didn't feign a headache in front of his sister like he had on March 30th. Instead, he got up early and prepared breakfast, including toast, fried poached eggs, sliced bacon, and more. Aurora was surprised to see Lumien's diligence. "Oh, you're so diligent? I thought you wouldn't be able to get up this morning after drinking so much yesterday." Lumien casually replied, "Just a glass of apple whiskey sour and a glass of absinthe." "How is that too much?" Aurora shook her head and smiled. "What's there to be proud of? Other than wine, other alcoholic beverages are unhealthy and affect our brains. No wonder you're becoming more and more stupid, my drunkard brother." Lumien, who couldn't argue with his sister, muttered to himself, "Why is wine an exception?" "Because I like it," Aurora replied, challenging Lumien to retort. Lumien had no response. After breakfast, he stayed home and kneaded dough instead of going out. Aurora clicked her tongue in wonder. "Did you cause any trouble? You're so obedient. Tell me, I won't beat you up. At most, I'll give you an additional combat class." "Nothing." Lumien deflected the question and said, "I find things in the village getting weirder and weirder. Some people are acting more and more abnormally." "Aurora, do you feel that way?" Lumien had observed that his sister didn't have any memories related to the time reversal, but the abnormality in the village had to have started before March 29th. As a mystery prior, Aurora might have sensed it but didn't pay enough attention to it. Aurora's expression turned serious. "Even you can sense that something is amiss? Tell me, who were the ones who made you feel this way?" As expected, Aurora knew that there was something wrong with some people, but she didn't expect the problem to be so serious. Lumien washed his hands and thought before responding. "Madame Pualis, the Padre Pons Benet, and the shepherd Pierre Barry, who returned to the village early. There is indeed something wrong with Madame Pualis. I knew something was off about her when she came to Cordo with the administrator, but she was very restrained. Apart from constantly having extramarital relationships, there was nothing evil about her. I saw something on her." Aurora stopped herself, not wanting to drag Lumien into the supernatural world. Constantly having extramarital affairs? Before Lumien found out that Madame Pualis was having an affair with the Padre, he found Madame Pualis a decent lady. He was surprised to learn that Madame Pualis had affairs with men other than the Padre. Of course, this was in line with Lumien's stereotypical view of Madame Pualis. As for the Padre, he has the same strong desire for superpowers as you, but he has never received the blessings of the eternal Blazing Sun Church. Aurora continued. A guy like Pons Benet, whose brain is nothing but muscle, can't do anything strange. As for the shepherd Pierre Barry, rushing back a few sheep seems a little off, but I can't tell what's wrong, and I don't dare to look deeper. As one would expect from a sequence 7 of the Mystery Prior Pathway. Before the time reversal, I hadn't conversed much with Grande Sir about such topics. In fact, I overlooked the crucial hint that there could be an issue with Pierre Barry's sheep. Yes, I didn't suspect Pierre Barry much back then. I just thought it was a bit odd for him to hurry back early to take part in Lent. Just as Lumien was about to speak, there was a tinkling sound at the door. The doorbell rang. Lumien walked over to the door and asked, "Who is it?" "A telegram for Aurora," the person outside replied loudly. "A telegram?" Aurora was confused. "Who would send me a telegram? There's nothing urgent recently." Lumien was also puzzled. They hadn't received any telegrams before the time reversal on March 30th. Wait, Lumien thought. I went to the village square early on March 30th to wait for Raymond. Perhaps Grande Sir received a telegram but didn't tell me. Lumien quickly opened the door. Outside stood Bertrand, the administrator's subordinate in charge of telegrams. He handed a piece of paper to Lumien and said, "One Vrildor." The brown-haired, brown-eyed Bertrand was not from Cordoue and had come here with the administrator from Dirige. He looked warm on the outside but was actually quite greedy. Lumien tossed a silver coin worth 1 Vrildor to Bertrand and looked at the telegram. The contents were simple. Lumien quickly browsed through it. The author salon mentioned before is in June. If you're willing, Miss Aurora, you can set off for Trier now. Leave enough time for a tour. We guarantee that this will be a very beautiful journey. It was signed by the editorial department of Novel Weekly. W.H. Lumien's eyes widened. Was this a reply from Novel Weekly? When did I say I wanted to attend the author's salon? Aurora leaned over and read the telegram. What's wrong with the editorial department of Novel Weekly? It's annoying having to meet so many people at once. Bertrand was well away from the door by now. Lumien was stunned and suddenly had a bold guess. The telegram in his hand was indeed a reply from Novel Weekly, but it was a reply to the telegram he would send in a few days. To be more precise, the telegram he had sent before going back in time had received a reply after the time reversal, and in his current experience, that telegram had yet to be sent out.